All right, you maggots, listen up. Now, a lot of you don't remember your first rant. I remember my first rant. I won't say I remember it like yesterday, but I remember it. And after I did it, I left the classroom. This is, let's see, that'd be uh, ninth grade history class. Teacher's name was Genevieve. She got remarried, or she got married. Her name became Jones. So I used to keep quiet in classes. I always sat up in the front. I didn't want to be in the back where someone might cause me to fool around, and then I would be spotted. And well, anyway, I always sat up in the front, and I tried the best I could. So we're in Mrs. Jones's class, and she's complaining that the test marks are terrible for the students, and everybody in the class is not going to say anything back to her. She's also our counselor for our class for ninth grade. So she's our student counselor, and everybody's just sitting there. She's going on and on about the marks, and then finally I just couldn't take it anymore. I said, it would be nice. Didn't raise my hand. I just started talking. It would be nice if you told us to read pages between 28 and 45 or 28 and 50, and there'll be a test Monday on the information on those pages. What you've been doing to us is like we have no clue. History should be sort of fun. It was New Jersey history. No class trip, no mention of our town and the copper mine or anything about our town. Just straight from the book type of thing. So she's staring at me. And I know in her mind, she's going to try to get even. So she does. So she gives us like 15 pages to read. And I get up and I leave. And the student's just like, boy, you finally told her. I said, she's going to get even. You watch this. She's going to get even. You can go home and read those 15 pages till the cows come home. But there's going to be a trick. And we had some really smart students. And they're just looking at me. I said, no, 15 pages. You can almost memorize 15 pages. She's got something she's going to do to us. So anyway, we come in Monday. And she gives us the test. Only 10 questions. Real simple. Nobody gets any of them right. So you figure, how is that possible? All right, this is what she did. See, I knew she was going to do this. So on one of the pages, there's a map. And it's quite a big map. And it's basically to show you probably how Washington retreated through the different counties or whatever. That's what it's for. But she took questions off the map. Locations, where bridges were. So anyway, we're going over the test. And she's like snickering. And I just started another rant. I just go, yeah, that was pretty good. That's like the first day on the job, the mechanic sending the guy for the pail of steam or the right-handed or left-handed monkey wrench. I said, it's very easy for someone that really knows the subject to make a complete fool out of a newbie, but should you really be doing that? And then I just kept quiet. She's looking at me, and the other students are like, they're nodding their head like, that was I can't say the words what she was really doing to us, but in other words, she just wanted to show us that even if she gave us the pages, we'd still screw up. But the whole idea of the first, when she first started talking was she complained about the grades, and history is not that bad unless it's a teacher that really doesn't like it. They have no passion. They just make you read. I'll give you 10 minutes to read the next 20 pages, and we'll go over them tomorrow. That's what most of my teachers did. There was no passion. They wouldn't stand up there and go over anything and say, what also happened up there in some Vineland, New Jersey, or Hunterdon, New Jersey. Tell a little story, maybe something exciting that happened within the last 200 years instead of what's in the book. But she went on to void the test. She decided to void the test. And she just kept staring at me like, where did this guy come from? But you know what? I was a product of just keeping quiet for years. And I finally had it with that kind of person. Uh, in electronics, I can ask you a question as smart as you think you are. Like the one guy used to say to me, but he forgot that he kept asking me the same question. What's a stubistor? He'd do that at the cafeteria table. He'd be smirking. I said a stubistor is 3 diodes or more in series, and it's used for temperature compensation. Shut that guy right up. See, everybody at the table, they remember him asking that same question. See, that was his question that he held to stump everybody so he looked smarter. But you need to change your question once in a while. But anyway, she pulled that crap on us. And then in the passing months, she would say something. She'd always look over at me to get the reaction. So one day, the one kid didn't show up for school for a couple days. And she made some nasty comment about how he's always falling asleep in class. I said, well, you know, Brian was his name. He's dead now. I said, Brian is slowly going blind. And he found out that if he keeps his eyes closed as much as he can, it's helped saving his sight. I said, right now he's in the hospital getting an operation. They're trying to save his eyesight. I don't know if he had a growth on one of the optic nerves or whatever it was. They were able to stabilize it. The look on her face. And I just, I went into the rant again. I said, you're his student, you're his guidance counselor. You think you would at least gone over his record and saw that he is going blind. Boy, the look on her face. I couldn't have made her any smaller. And we left the classroom, and somebody said to me, I said, it needed to be done. I said, that guy, he said Coke bottle glasses his whole life, which made him look odd. He was very quiet. I got along with him. A couple other guys, we kind of looked after Brian. And Brian ended up becoming a heavy smoker, and he died. He died from an aneurysm because of the smoking. I won't go into that, but how ironic is that? They save his eyesight. He's able to get his driver's license. He becomes a draftsman, but picking up the habit of smoking, it done him in. But anyway, he kept having strokes and then an aneurysm. And from smoking, they told me. But anyway, that's it. So anyway, so you got that kind of teacher, Jones. And then you got this guy, Gerber. The other teachers hated Gerber. Gerber had a passion. Marvin Gerber had a passion. And your homework consisted of a crossword puzzle. And you had your questions, and the answer had to be put in the crossword puzzle. Right? He had other ones that were they were like tapes that went around on the page, and you had to put the right words in there. And there were so many different versions of his homework. And he would train you all week. He would do demonstrations. When you got to the test on Thursday, if you didn't get a C or better, you were a dummy. This guy, the other teacher says, oh, he spoon feeds you. Well, just the other day I had an argument about the eclipse with someone. They were wrong because I had Marvin Gerber. And lunar eclipse, it's an eclipse of the moon. Solar, it's an eclipse of the sun. It's up to you to figure out what gets in the way. But Marvin Gerber, when he'd explain to you the thermometer, I think it's a hygrometer. You got 2 thermometers, and one's got a wet bulb on it, a piece of cloth, and you wet one thermometer, and the other one stays dry. You spin it around. You you measure the difference between the 2 thermometers. There's a chart, the temperatures, and it tells you how much humidity you got. See, but depending on how high the humidity or how low the humidity is, if the humidity is low as you're spinning this hydrometer, if I'm saying it right, the water evaporates faster, which cools the one bulb, while the other bulb stays room temperature or the temperature of outside. And then the temperatures. You look at the chart, it tells you the amount of humidity. See, I have all these pictures in my head because this guy really went over it. He went into the closet and he came out with a hydrometer and he holds it up. He shows you one thermometer. There's 2 thermometers on this thing, and there's a handle, and you can spin it. Shows you one. He shows you the bulb. He wets the bulb. He spins it around. He holds the chart up, And then he explains to you, you look up at the two thermometers on the chart, it tells you the humidity that's in the room. All right? There were other things like that. And the only ones I had trouble with were the wind patterns on the earth, the northern calms or whatever they are. I can't remember that stuff. And the clouds. I actually, at one point, we'd be sitting in classroom and he'd point outside and he would say, for 10 extra points, who can tell me what clouds are out there? And it would always be the trick one. It would be the trick cloud. You know, it's almost a nimbulus, a cirrus nimbulus, whatever. He had such a sense of humor. And then if he got ahead on the subject matter, he got out I got to think about the book of records. Oh no, see, I'm going to forget the book of records. You know, they have the two fattest guys. Something's book of, anyway, he would get the book of records out and he would read, he'd say, in Arizona or in Death Valley, what's the hottest temperature it's ever been and what's the coolest it's ever been. And he would, I can't think of the name of the stupid book. And I actually bought one at the supermarket. But he knew the class was doing good and he would go get this book out, the book of records. I almost had it again. It's the people. It's the one where you want to do the most sit-ups, and you know what it is. I'm old and I forget stuff when I'm doing videos. But anyway, did that. The other thing too is he would run these movies, and the guy go look up on the internet. The guy says, "Hello, young neighbors, and welcome to Junior Science," or something like that, and he ran those series of them over and over so we get it. And those have to do with like the pool balls on the pool table hitting at a certain angle and the other one coming off with the other. And he'd play these. And then after the video was over, he'd explain to you and he'd draw stuff on the thing. Well, the other teachers hated him. They called him a spoon feeder. But when he taught you, he really taught you. He put the effort in. And if you got less than a C on your test, he would take it personally. He'd start mocking you. He wouldn't demean you. He'd mock you. He said, "What, you have a bad week that week?" And some of the stuff he taught was hard, but he made it easy. And his name was Marvin Gerber. Well, Mrs. Jones, I don't think she never had children, and that was the other time I went after her. She was our guidance counselor, and she started saying stuff. I said, "Listen to me. You don't have any children." I just started talking. You don't have any children. You don't understand how children really think and the stuff they try to pull. And she said, "Yeah." I said, what you know from a book. But when you actually have children, you know when they're lying to you, and it was funny. The other kids in the classroom, thank God they never broke out in applause. But we would get outside that classroom and they'd say to me, "Man, you stood up to her." I said, "I got nothing to lose. I'm terrible in history. I have great memory for stuff I want to learn. But put a number in there. After you get past Columbus 1492, Columbus crossed the ocean blue, and then you can mess up. In 1493, Columbus crossed the deep blue sea. You can mess that one up if you want to. But it was amazing the types of teachers you had. And there were teachers and you had to keep quiet. They would teach one class the material, and then they would never teach that material to you. And then on a Monday, you get the tests for what they didn't teach you. And you just struggle through it because if you said anything, those son of a bitches would get even with you. And you knew that. That's why, when Mrs. Jones said, "I'll give you like 14 pages to read," I knew it was going to be a trick. I didn't know what she was going to pull. But, when you go through a history book, there's maps in there. But you don't sit on the map and get a magnifying glass out and pull out names of places and certain bridges and stuff like that, and then put it. The smartest kid, nobody got any of those answers, and she did that just to bust our balls, all right? But it didn't work that way because I called her on it. I'm like, anybody that's really smart, that's teaching a student, can make the student look really stupid. But that's not what the teacher's supposed to be doing. And everybody's like, "Holy crap!" I said, "Yeah, well, teachers, they're being paid by our parents, by our taxes, to teach us, not to humiliate us." I think that's it. All right, that's it.